Hey guys, it's Erika, and in today's video we are going to be chatting about low light houseplants. Now, these plants can survive in low light. For me at least, my house has very terrible natural lighting, and these are the first plants that I had to gravitate to because I didn't have this grow light system that you see behind me, and I just had to make do with the windows that I had. And these are the plants that survived through that and actually grew and are doing well. Of course, top two houseplants that can live in low light are the snake plant and ZZ plant. And you probably already knew that. Here is my snake plant that is usually in the back of my videos. It goes over there in the corner, that empty corner, and he actually lives there. Like in real life, that's his home. And pretty much the only light he gets is the light that comes off of these grow lights. And I have a northeastern facing window, but it's not close at all. So he's been living there for quite a while now, and he's not necessarily growing super fast. He still has some new, growth points going on, but he's definitely not growing the fastest to his best potential. If your plant is not getting a ton of light, you should pull back on your watering. The soil is going to dry out much slower if your plant's not getting a lot of light. So it's kind of easier all around because they're not getting as much light. You don't need to water as often. So yeah, they're very easy plants and they're really nice. There are also lots of different kinds of Sansevieria. This is a whale fin, for example. So there are a whole bunch of Sansevieria to choose from. They all can handle low light situations. So you just gotta take your pick, choose which one you like the best, and you're all set. And then I did mention the ZZ plant. So this is my Raven ZZ. He right now lives under a grow light because I give him special treatment since he's a Raven ZZ. But ZZs definitely can grow in low light. I specifically got this bad boy behind me for this low light situation. He's currently permanently living in the same situation that my snake plant is living in. He's doing fine. He's putting out new growth. I don't really need to water him that much. I actually haven't watered him since I got him, which wasn't that long ago, maybe like a month. So easy peasy. And don't they look so good? ZZ plants are just so gorgeous. It's really crazy. Okay, moving on. The next plant I highly suggest for low light is a pothos. Pothos are some of my favorite plants ever. There's so many different kinds. So right here I have a glacier pothos. I also have a Cebu blue, and they're doing really great in low light situations. This guy doesn't get much light, and it does, like I've been saying, it does affect their growth rate, and the leaves do come out smaller. So if you have your plant in a lower light situation, the leaves do grow out smaller and smaller. It definitely is a different look from a bushy plant, but the look is starting to grow on me. Also, if you have your plant in a lower light situation, when you first bought it, if it was a really full plant, you might notice that its leaves start yellowing, and that's completely normal. It's kind of just adjusting to the lower light situation. So you can see this leaf is kind of yellowing because this plant was recently moved to a lower light situation. So you don't need to worry about that until your plant completely, starts turning yellow. That's a sign that your plant does need more light. Yellowing leaves is a sign that your plant needs more light. Well, it's one of the many. There are so many reasons your plant could be having yellow leaves, but not having enough light is definitely one of them. In the similar vein as pothos are Scindapsus. This is a Scindapsus pictus exotica. He lives kind of pulled back from an east-facing window, and the window does have kind of an awning. So it doesn't really get like a ton of sun where he's sitting, and you kind of see by how his new leaves are looking a little bit small over here, but otherwise he's still growing and he's a trooper. That kind of leads us into the next type of plant, which is the trailing philodendron. These trailing plants are pretty much like low light troopers. This is just a regular cordatum, and this is what I'm talking about, how their leaves get smaller. You can see that these leaves are definitely smaller than the leaves on top. And he does look very, not bushy, what is the word? like the opposite of bushy, like lanky. The word is not lanky, but he's looking lanky. And that is because he's not getting a lot of light. So your plants will start to look more like stringy rather than full, but I've grown to like the look. I used to only like full plants, and I was like, why would people want those trailing plants? But now I kind of love it. I kind of love how they look. It just adds some character. This plant has character. This is another example of a heart-shaped heartleaf philodendron. This is my Brazil, and he lives in a super low light condition, like very low light. So I rarely have to water him, but he lives kind of below a northeast facing window, not very close to the light at all, but he still grows. He still puts out new leaves. He's just doing his thing. He's just doing it very slowly. I have another example here. My Micans. You can see his leaves are getting small at the bottom. They're pretty large up top. Next plant, which could have been higher up on the list than I put it so far. Ooh, this is a peace lily, and this is a very commonly well-known low-light houseplant. This plant is like my ZZ plant and snake plant in regards to he only lives off the light that comes off of these grow lights. He lives right there on that stand, and he is putting out a flower soon. I don't know if you could see that tiny flower, but I was very surprised to see that because peace lilies, when they're in lower light conditions, they're less likely to flower, and that's okay. I honestly don't really care for peace lily flowers. I kind of just go for their gorgeous foliage. I'm a really big fan of their foliage. These plants do like to be in damper conditions. You can see mine has some crispy tips because I do forget to water him very often, and it shows. Peace lilies are plants that do like to be more on the moist side of things, so you can water them more often. I wouldn't let their soil completely dry out before watering them. I would get to them sooner. For this plant, I do often forget to water him, and that's why he has these crispy tips going on. I usually wait until he's sad and droopy, like every single time I water him, and it really shows. So I should water him more often. It's gonna be my goal during this quarantine. But yeah, like I was saying for that plant, if you want more flowers, then I would recommend to put it in a brighter spot because you're gonna be more likely to get more flowers. But otherwise, if you don't mind, you can just have it in a low light area and he'll just look beautiful sitting there with the nice foliage. The next plants that can survive in low light are Marantas. Now this guy I saved from a clearance section a while back, and he is putting out some crazy new growth. He used to live in a northeast facing window and he was doing really well. It got a little too cold, so I put him under the grow lights. That's why his leaves are a little crispy here. These are his old leaves, and a whole section of him actually I had to cut off because it was just too crispy. So these do kind of need some humidity and they need to be watered often. I have him in a terracotta pot, which is, I wouldn't recommend it. I hold back on watering a lot, and I put him in a really well draining mix with a terracotta pot, which is for people more geared towards people who overwater. For me, since I hold back on watering a lot, I should have put him in a less well draining mix. Look at this mix. I should have put him in a less well draining mix and in maybe a plastic or a ceramic pot. And that way he could retain his water better and he probably wouldn't have got as crispy. So Marantas are plants that like to be on the wetter side, like the peace lily. Maybe not as much as the peace lily, but definitely they are not like a snake plant and you can wait to water them. So I might repot him, but he's doing very well, and I don't know if I even finished telling you where he was living. He was living in a northeast facing window that has like a bush in front of it. So he's getting very diffuse lighting throughout the entire day, and he was completely thriving off of that. So it's really well in low light. Next plant I have here is a Syngonium, also known as arrowhead plants. And this guy is definitely getting to be not full. You can tell that the sun for him is over here, and that's why his whole entire body is kind of going over that way. And on this side, he's just like not there. But Syngoniums, you can wait until their soil dries to water them. They can live in low light and they'll still be growing. You can see he has some new leaves coming out. Some down here. This guy lives with the Scindapsus pictus. He lives pulled back from an east-facing window that has an awning on it, so he's not getting as much light as he could if I put it closer to the window. But he's still doing well, so this is a great option. There are so many different colors you can get for this plant. This one that I have here, I'm not sure of the actual name. It might be strawberry, but he has beautiful pink on his leaves and some beautiful green on the underside. So that's why he's kind of like a strawberry in my eyes. But yeah, this is a really great plant. All right, last but not least, I have a Dieffenbachia. And my guy isn't really looking so good right now because I accidentally left him out in the sun. You can see his leaves are not happy with me and I feel terrible. But he likes lower light situations. He lives inside in front of an east-facing window, but it is a window that has a porch in front of it, so it doesn't get a lot of sun at all. So you can see that he is growing some new leaves, and you can see what side the sun is on for this guy, for this guy as well. But he's growing and he's doing really well. It's a really gorgeous plant. A Dieffenbachia. They are very toxic. So if you don't have any animals or little kids that you're worried about, this is a really good plant. And there's so many different kinds of it as well. My personal favorite is a tropic snow, which I don't have, but it's very beautiful and I recommend you look into it if you want to get a Dieffenbachia. Last but not least on my list is one that I didn't expect would be a low light plant, but it has turned out to be one. This is a green emerald, a Philodendron green emerald. He's very dusty, by the way. He lives next to my east-facing window, but it has a lot of plants in front of the window. So he really doesn't get that much light, but he's still living. And like the other plants, you can definitely see which side the sun is on. And if you want to avoid this kind of a lopsided look, you can definitely go in and kind of rotate your plant every week so that it's getting an even amount of sunlight on all sides. I personally don't do that, as you can tell by all my lopsided plants, but yeah, it's a really gorgeous plant. I love this plant. It's one of my favorites. I love to wake up and look at it and just see it with the little dappled sunlight on it. And you can see his new growth is coming in. It is definitely smaller than these massive leaves over here. So like I said, leaves grow in smaller with less light and they do grow in slower. But that's okay. At least they're growing, right? Alright, those are all the low light plants that I have to share with you today. If you want to add any of your recommendations down below, go ahead. I would love to hear them. Just remember that these plants can have higher light than just low light. They can be in medium light. Some of them can be in brighter sunlight, but if low light is what you got, it's what you got and you got to work with it. And these plants are good to go for those low light areas in your house. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Okay, by the way, I've been wanting to make a video showing how to pack plants, but I don't really have anyone to send plants to. So I'm planning on sending out 4 plants and showing how to pack them. So it's going to be kind of a mixture of different kinds of cuttings, maybe some 4-inch plants. It's not going to be anything too crazy, But if you want to enter, I'm going to be doing a giveaway on who I'm going to be sending the plants to. Giveaway is going to end next week, and then I'll make a video out of packing the plants and send them to the winners. So yeah, if you want to enter, just leave a comment down below. That's it. And I'm sorry, the giveaway is only going to be for people within the United States. But yeah, okay. Thank you so much for watching this late into the video also. Bye!